So, Deadpool and Wolverine, the newest MCU movie, has officially dropped with Deadpool and Wolverine, the only MCU movie this year. And I will say, before release, I was expecting this movie to be bad. I wasn't on the same wavelength as a lot of people, because I know a lot of people were very excited about this movie as some savior of the MCU. I, however, expected this movie to not be very good. I expected it to be unoriginal and lazy, uninventive, and unfunny. However, I am here to report that I liked the movie. Is it perfect? No. Is it great? No. Did it save the MCU? No. I don't think the MCU really needed to be saved yet, but still, even if it did, I don't think it would have saved the MCU because, like I said, it's not a great movie. But for what it is, Deadpool and Wolverine is an entertaining movie. Deadpool and Wolverine was fun. It was a fun movie, and while I did not think it was perfect, I enjoyed it. I thought it had some funny jokes and some unfunny ones, so it's kind of mixed there. I thought the action was overall fun, although it could have used a little better directing, as I do think Shawn Levy is a very boring, uninteresting director, but still, overall, the action is really fun, especially in the opening credits, which a lot of people have brought up, but I also think is probably the best scene in the movie. But that was fun. The acting is solid. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman both give out solid performances and both have fun chemistry with each other. That is very clear on screen. But this movie is not all pros. Most notably, I think this movie has a pretty mediocre story. It hardly has a story. It's pretty much just getting to these scenes to be, wow, so cool for fans who just want to see Deadpool and Wolverine fight people and want to see cameos. That's basically all this movie is. It doesn't really have much of a plot. And the plot it does have, for a large duration of its runtime, is not present, which is, in my opinion, very comparable to the newest Despicable Me, which I think is similar in quality. But just like that, this movie has hardly a plot, and it loses that plot for massive moments of time. Just repeatedly, there's a middle chunk of the movie that completely loses track of the story and just goes, wow, let's show you all these cameos and let's show you all these action sequences and let's have all these jokes without really focusing on the story. And that's my biggest gripe with this movie, is that it doesn't have a central story to work with. Then another big gripe I have is that, for me anyway, while this movie does have emotional moments it tries to make work, none of them really worked for me. I don't think they're terrible or anything, but I don't think they work well. And it's not due to the sequences themselves, but rather due to this movie's insistence on constantly having jokes in every single scene. Because, well, yes, they can be funny sometimes. This can undercut the emotional moments. And also, the cameos are just as bad about undercutting emotional moments, because just like with the plot, for massive sequences of the movie, there will be no development, just for the crowd to be able to point at the screen and go, wow, hey, that's someone I recognize, or something I recognize, or blah, blah, blah. Or, wow, they made a funny joke about this thing I recognize. And it doesn't help build the emotional arcs, and in fact deteriorates them, because this movie's 2 hours and 8 minutes, and like half of it is just this bullshit. So we've only got an hour to work with to build arcs that are essentially too big for an hour. So that's my big criticism of this. But otherwise, like I said, the directing is pretty boring and basic. Shawn Levy or I don't know how to pronounce Levy, something like that, is not a great director. He's fine. He's whatever, but he's very boring and basic, and I just wish that there was someone with more style on this movie instead of yes man director number 5. But with all that said, I liked the movie. I thought it to be fun, but overall, it's not perfect. It's not great. It's not the savior of the MCU like a bunch of people are saying, and I've liked other movies in the past few years better from the MCU, specifically Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I think is much better, and that people are saying that this movie is better than that is kind of weird to me, but I don't know. I can't stop them from thinking that. It's their opinion, so. But yeah, the movie's not great, not terrible, it's fun. But anyway, with this, I'm going to get into spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and are planning on seeing it, this is where I'd cut off the video. But anyways, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Let's get into them. So obviously, the big thing to talk about here is the cameos, the big Lupshadow moments, like, oh wow, character I recognize on screen, no way. And those, I didn't love. I didn't love the cameos. Those were not the type of things I wanted to see, and those were exactly the type of things I was scared of taking over the movie and making it bad before release. And yeah, the one big sequence with the cameos is my least favorite sequence of the whole movie. The cameo, I thought Human Torch was fine. Chris Evans' Human Torch was fun enough, I guess. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. It was fine. It was fun. It was entertaining. I can live with it. He was funny. It fit the movie. It worked overall, I guess. But the sequence, the big sequence with X-23, Blade, Elektra, and Gambit is definitely on my nerves. I think it completely loses steam. The movie completely loses focus of what it's trying to do in exchange for instead purely focusing on cameos, which is annoying, which is lame, which is lazy, which is uninspired. I could go on. It's really boring and basic, and I know people liked that, and that's fine. We can have different opinions and find fun out of different things, but I thought I didn't like it, and I thought it was dragged out, that they were there too long, and that it also took away from the movie itself. So I was not a fan of them. I thought Gambit had a couple funny lines, but otherwise they were fun there, and overall I would still take Gambit out of the movie, even if I thought he had some fun lines. But yeah. And then all the Wolverine cameos, they fit a lot better. I didn't mind them because they made sense. Him trying to go find a Wolverine to go help him. It made sense to have them all there. And it didn't really drag because it was like a minute-long sequence. So yeah, that I was fine with. It was cute. It was fun. It didn't drag on too long like the other ones. So overall, it was solid. And then there's a bunch of other cameos in Cassandra Nova's group, but a lot of them get hardly any screen time, so I didn't care about them either because they didn't drag out too long. But overall, the cameos could get on my nerves, but they weren't the end of the world or anything. I was expecting them to be worse, but also they could have been better. And then, yeah, like I said, in the spoiler-free section, they, in my opinion, took away from the emotional moments of the movie because, like, because you got Logan and Wade both having their arcs about trying to save people or failing to save people. They're going on constantly. And besides one scene with Logan and X-23, there's a solid 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, because, like, right before 2 is a big fight, and right after is them fucking around again, where they're just not really worked on developmental-wise, besides, like, 1 or 2 scenes with Logan. Deadpool just kind of statics as a character for a little while there. He's just dicking around, and it's pretty boring, and it gets a little rough because I don't know about you, but I wanted to be this movie. I wanted this movie to be a movie and not just, oh wow, cameo 24/7. But it could have been worse, like I said. But I do think it took away from Logan's arc outside of the one scene where he gets emotional with X-23 and tells her about how he failed his team of X-Men. He wears the suit because to remind him of that failure. It was a solid moment, but otherwise the movie just kind of takes a break and stops its emotional moments and its story moments, which is kind of annoying. I might have over-exaggerated with the 15-20 minutes, but it was like 10 at the least. So, yeah, but could have been worse, but I thought the cameos dragged on too long in that particular section, that they could have been better. And then, talking about the story, like I said, the story also has massive moments of time where they're just screwing around and nothing happens that moves the story forward. It's annoying. I wish it was more focused on, but it's not the end of the world. The movie was still entertaining enough for me that I still liked it regardless. Otherwise, like I said, the action was a ton of fun for the most part. I thought the action sequence with the cameos with Blade and Elektra and Gambit and X-23 wasn't that great. The camera, in my opinion, shook around too much. It was a little blurry. It was hard to tell exactly what was going on. But, like, the bye-bye-bye scene at the opening credits was a ton of fun. The one between Wolverine and Deadpool in the van in the Honda Odyssey was fun. And then the one with all the Deadpools was pretty entertaining, too. Overall, the action was overall fun. It wasn't, like, perfect or anything, but it was pretty entertaining. There have been better MCU action sequences, but there have also been a lot worse. But so overall, while it wasn't perfect, the action was fun enough. It doesn't live up to stuff like Guardians Volume 3 yet again last year, particularly with that one's hallway action sequence. But overall, it's still got fun action that's entertaining, and it does its job well enough. I don't know. I'm struggling to say too much more about it right now. Like I said, it's not a movie I loved or hated anything, so it's a little less motivating for me to talk about because I don't have extreme feelings about it. It's overall a fine movie. I liked it well enough. I have seen it 4 times somehow. Most of those times were just trying to see audience reactions because this is the type of movie that benefits from having big loud audiences. Like with the scene with Wolverine's mask. That was a really cool scene to see with audiences, see audience clapping and stuff. And the laughter and everything makes this movie a little bit more involved and entertaining. So I don't know, in a couple months I may like it less because I won't have big audiences there with me. But for the time being, I've seen it a few times. I feel like my thoughts are pretty solid at this point. I've seen it enough to really know what I think of the movie. And overall, the movie's fun. The movie's entertaining. It's a blast, but also it's really stupid. Some of the jokes don't land. A lot of the jokes don't land. The story is very bare bones and hardly works. It's like a kid's movie like Despicable Me, where it's just more of a collection of gags and wow moments than it is an actual movie. The emotional moments are very hit or miss. Like the action's fun, but overall, at the end of the day, I liked the movie, and as someone who went in with rock bottom expectations, that might have helped. I might have liked this movie less had I been actually excited for it. But as it stands, I was pleasantly surprised, and I enjoyed Deadpool and Wolverine, even if it isn't perfect. It's still pretty fun and entertaining, and overall, it's just a solid time at the movies. Now, would I recommend it if you, for some reason, stuck around through the spoiler section? Because I forgot to answer that question earlier. So, I would say, even though now you know the cameos and stuff, if you're interested in checking out if it's your type of humor and action, then yeah, go check it out. But if this is the type of humor you aren't into, or you're not too into action movies, or you're not that into these characters, then no. I'd say skip it because you're not going to enjoy this movie if you're not looking forward to those type of things. But overall, like I said, it's a fun time. It's entertaining. It's not a great movie. It didn't need to be. It was fun. It was a solid, entertaining time. But I don't know. That's about all I have to say about it. So with that, I think it's time to sign off. So I'll see you guys in the future whenever I decide to make another video. Who knows when. But with that said, peace out.